Hello, my name is Matt. Welcome to Unbearable 73. In this episode, I picked several critical scenes from Season 1, Episode 4 of Rings of Prime to highlight significant lore differences between Rings of Prime and Tolkien's Legendarium. Note, this is not the review. That's another video. Be out a little later. I have a separate video for that. So let's go scene by scene for those that have chosen. Not so much showing the whole scene, but I'm going to give you a visual so you understand the whole scene in context. You know. Now, I've chosen 5 scenes to discuss in this particular episode, but there's at least, if I were really, really being picky, like 10 to 15 more things they just keep saying over and over again, or they'll bring up in some offhand way that you know is a drop for a few episodes. So I'll save it for the future episodes so I don't like bomb you out. So the first slide is from the beginning, when the elven workers are taking your trades. The way I do is I put subtitles on when I go through my review to gather notes for my review and this video, and then I'll take the shot with the subtitle on so you have a reference as to what he's saying in the shot. So this guy, he's a Numenorian guildsman taking issue with elf workers taking their trades. The first issue here, there's a direct conflict between the showrunner's ideology and Tolkien's writing philosophy. This is an excerpt from Tolkien's introduction to Lord of the Rings. This is slide number 2. Okay? As for any inner meaning or message, it has the intention of the author none. It is neither allegorical nor topical. Again, this is from Professor Tolkien's introduction to the Lord of the Rings. Also, a little later on, a few sentences later, other arrangements could have been devised according to the taste or views of those who like allegory or topical reference, but I cordially dislike allegory in all its manifestations, and always have done so since I grew old and wary enough to detect its presence. I much prefer history, either true or feigned, with its varied applicability to the thought and experience of the reader. I think many confuse applicability with allegory, but the one resides in the freedom of the reader, and the other is in the purpose domination of the author. There's more in that forward that's worth reading in that part of his, well, the whole forward in general, but The long and short of it is that Tolkien despised allegory. A story should be told its own merits, whether it's a real history or a depicted fictional history. The speech by the Numenorian rabble-rouser is clearly pure political allegory for those who are controlling the show, including this scene in the show, which they claim is an adaptation of Tolkien's work that is faithful to the spirit of his work, but only changed for the time we live in. Basically, it's clear evidence that they have neither read his books or didn't understand Tolkien as a writer or a person. So let's move on to the third one. This is when the orcs were speaking in black speech when they were taking the gear and whatever from the orc who was killed. So, and it's in black speech, Nampak or Glisha. This may or may not have come up before in my videos, but in the lore, the black speech was made up by Sauron in the Second Age after he had established Mordor. He wanted a language in common for all of the orcs and men who followed him. To be clear, this show is saying that the black speech existed before Mordor. Sauron had a very logical and orderly reason for creating the black speech, as Sauron's primary internal motivation, which Melkor used to corrupt him, was his deep and abiding desire to have order. This show plays fast and loose with languages in general, and it's also antithetical to Tolkien, who loved language and philology. He worked on the Oxford English Dictionary. He engaged in critical translations of stuff, like his rendition of Beowulf. For his Legendarium, by some counts, he created more than 15 synthetic languages. Yet this show stands in stark contrast to Tolkien's work that he loved. Another example, and following from what I mentioned about the Elven languages last episode, is the name of the character Adar. Adar means father in Sindarin, one of the Elvish tongues Tolkien created for a subset of the elves. Yet all the elves in this craft shall only speak Quenya, which is the language of the Noldor and Vandir elves who went to the Undying Lands. We can only expect more of that, including in this episode. Although I won't fault them too much on the other thing. The old mine beneath the Miramir, which is... This is more of a just-in-case lore point. There have been rumors that a Balrog will appear in this show. In canon, the dwarves delved too deep in Third Age 1980, not during the Second Age. Moria survived as the home for Durin's folk, the Longbeards, from the First Age, from a time in the First Age, I should say, to almost 2,000 years into the Third Age. And now on to, this is when Durin the Four gave Elrond the Mithril Ingot, or Slug. Oh, excuse me. So where are we going to? So where are we going to start with this one? Okay, to be honest, there's multiple things to unwrap here. First, that ingot, which was given to Elrond, is a drop for future events, was one of the 3 elven rings which Celebrimbor will craft is made from mithril. Second, and this is nitpicking, mithril is also a Sindarin word derived from 2 Sindarin root words, mith and ril. And it's true Tolkien never defined a Quenya word for it, but from my loose, and I mean very loose understanding of language, it would be something like mitharail or mistarail, different structure to it. However, let's get to the main deviance from the lore. Okay, in the show, they discovered mithril like right then and there, so to speak, in that lode. Right, mithril was not discovered in the Second Age. It was known in the First Age. Moria was the primary only known source of mithril in Middle Earth from the First Age until the Isle of Elena, where Numenor came to exist, and the Numenorians discovered mithril there. The dwarves later found another part of that same vein when they had settled north in Lonely Mountain. However, mithril is also present in Undying Lands. In some sources, the flying ship Vingalot, which was made from mithril. That's the ship that Irindil is flying around with the Silmaril on his brow. Even if you want to argue secondary sources was primary, the fact is that mithril was discovered long before the rings were forged. The first Star of Elendil, which was crafted early within the first 700 of Numenor, was made from mithril. Now, number 6. I must warn you, I have touched Palantiri before. And this is the single scene that pretty much summarizes most, if not all, what's wrong with this crap show. So I'll start with the Palantiri, okay? The Palantiri is the plural word, Palantiri is single, okay? And yes, our father, Tar Palantir, is named after a Palantir, but not named after them, okay? The Palantir were crafted in the Undying Lands, possibly by Fëanor. 7 of them were gifted to Amandil, the Lord of the Andúni, the leader of the faithful, and the father of Elendil in the canon. This is a character that doesn't seem to exist in this show. The elves gave the Palantir to Amandil to provide him aid and comfort as the small and decreasing number of faithful in Numenor were being increasingly persecuted by the King's men, led by Pharazôn's father and then Pharazôn. And Pharazôn's father is Tar Palantir's brother, by the way. Only Amandil and his heirs had the authority to use them. Only they could authorize anyone to use them. That means neither Tamiriel, nor Tar Palantir, nor Galadriel could use them. Next, the capital city of Numenor, by the way, is Armenellis. There was never a Palantir in Armenellis. Stated they were given to Amandil. That means that Elendil's storyline has either been completely subverted and passed to Tamiriel, or is severely compromised and linked to her. Considering that the Rings of Prime Elendil is no longer the heir to Andúni, and is not just a Numenorian swabby, and his storyline has been woke appropriated, what would you expect this show to take? This is lore they own, and when they licensed it, I should say, and they still didn't, pay attention to it. And honestly, Galadriel never visited Numenor. I think I said that. Never in recorded visit Numenor. Okay, so originally watching the show was like experiencing a combination of being bored and being outraged. At this point, however, it feels more like a dissection of a dead animal to see how its innards fit together. I'll probably only do reviews for the first season. I'll probably do the reviews for the rest of the first season, but likely I'm just going to do the Lord Deviancy videos after the first season because the show is just not worth reviewing every episode. Hopefully, excuse me, audience. Hopefully this will be canceled if there are no more than 2 or 3 seasons. Comment down below if you have any questions for me about this video, or about this video. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button if you like. Hit dislike if you don't. Please share this video if you enjoyed it. I'm Matt. This has been another episode on Variable 73. Have a nice day. I am out of here.